Welcome to Inspired Edinburgh, the home of powerful conversations. I'm Elliot Reeves, and my guest today is Max Evans. Max is a rugby union player with international pedigree, having won 44 caps for Scotland. You earned your first cap in 2008 against Canada and scored your first try in the 2009 Six Nations Championship match against Wales. In the past 10 years, you had 63 appearances for Glasgow Warriors and 60 for French club side Castres. You're also an adidas UK athlete and an ambassador for Wings for Life, a non-for-profit foundation dedicated to finding a cure for spinal cord injury and funding world-class international research. Max, it's absolutely incredible to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Elliot, and it's great to be here. And actually, you've told me more about my background than I was sitting on the plane thinking, what is my background? And you've just given so much more than I knew myself. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's funny that I get that quite a lot. People are sitting there like, geez, I've done that.
What's crazy is I was like, you've actually, because you know, the viewers probably don't know, you sent me kind of some of the questions to think in my head of how to answer, and one of them was about the background, and I was actually thinking, now, was it 2008 or 2009 that I got my first cap? I couldn't, and I was on the plane, so I couldn't check the internet.
Yeah.
I was actually having to check the internet whether it was 08 or 09. You just said 08, so I was like, oh, it was 08. Okay, great.
Cleared that up for you, that's great. No awkward moments.
I didn't know all that about Glasgow Warriors, you know, how many times I've Castres as well, so
really?
That's brilliant. In the 60s for both, that's good.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Good effort. You scored 75 points as well.
Oh, brilliant.
Just so you know. So, I mean, in the beginning, it would be brilliant to find out a bit more about, early Max Evans. What was your early life like? Where did you grow up? And what was that kind of overall experience like for you?
Yeah, so I was born in Torquay, England, on September the 12th, 1983. My mum and dad are called Brian and Sally Evans. And my dad's he started off as a golf professional, so that's why I was born in Torquay. He was the golf professional at Tidmouth Golf Club. And then when I was 2, we moved out to Portugal, which has been home to this very day, where my dad's done the same. He's taught golf, and he's now been a golf director the last, I'd say between 10 and 20 years. So my mum and dad have been out there practically, since I was 2. So yeah, I had, as you'll know from this interview, I'm incredibly grateful and consider myself very lucky to have had the life I've had, starting from my childhood, which was, such an incredible childhood. I was brought up in Portugal, where I was always outside. The weather is obviously a lot better than it can be over here. And always outside. I've got one brother who I love more than anything in this world, and who we were just thick as thieves together, who I grew up messing around with. Like I said, my parents are both incredible people. They raised me to be humble, well-mannered, just a kind of all-round individual. And then I had a brother who, maybe unconsciously pushed me to be great at things. I was the older brother, and I felt like, it was my duty to kind of be a leader and lead by example. I then went to boarding school aged 8 over in the UK to a school called Lambrook, which is a brilliant school. Again, given every opportunity, great sporting facilities, education, and then went on to another school, Wellington College, aged 13, equally just as an amazing opportunity to really thrive at such a young age. And I couldn't have asked for more for a childhood, So and as we'll probably come on to say, it's led me to, one of my dreams in life is to be a dad, is to have kids, so that I can strive to give them the life, the childhood and the life that I've had. So yeah, I just can't be more grateful in that respect.
What I thought was really interesting when we were speaking before we started playing the cameras was, talking a little bit about your background. There was almost a sense of kind of apologist for the fact that you have had a lot of these opportunities and the kind of background that you did. I mean, what is it in your nature that does make you as humble as you are?
Yeah, I think I just know that as I got older and I guess from my upbringing, from my parents, they always enforce the fact that of how lucky I am to be living the life I was and have been. That not everyone is as fortunate. There are a lot that are less fortunate, and yeah, that was really struck home. And as I've obviously lived my life, I've been witness more and more to the hardships that some people go to. But as I was saying to you earlier, like I love to inspire people. I love to make people happy, and sometimes I feel I guess apologetic in a way because I haven't really experienced hardship, real hardship and struggle like I know so many people have. And so, who am I to be like, oh, look, everything's great, be happy and have a great, be positive when I've lived in kind of a happy bubble and I don't really know much else, if that makes sense. So, but I guess by being positive and by working hard and by being compassionate and being humble, it hopefully inspires people to do the same, because again, something you'll know about me is that I'm just a huge believer in energy, and that if you're positive, you're going to attract positivity, and that's literally my biggest preach to people, that regardless of what you're going through, and I know it at times, if it's really tough, it's hard to think that way, but if you can try as hard as you can to be positive and to see positivity coming towards you, and believe it will come to you, then it will. So so I guess, yeah.
It's a great outlook. Actually, I there's a quote that you have on your Instagram page: consider becoming the type of energy that no matter where you go or where you are, you always add value to the spaces and the lives of those around you.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. No, yeah, and that would be, you've got, I know there's another question coming, or a question you put to me, which is like my life philosophy, and it's a tough one because there's so many quotes that are all kind of incorporated in my life philosophy, but I would say that one is the biggest, because I just think it's great, like if that's how you can strive to be, you're gonna at least make people happy when you're around them. You're gonna add that. We're all energy, so you're going to bring that energy to a room, to an environment that will just lift it to a happier place, I guess. So that is one of my favourite. Yeah,
love that. Love that. So, like, I read as well that you were playing professional golf in Portugal, and I think that was kind of before you really went professional in rugby. So you had options in terms of your career path. Tell me a bit about that and why you eventually decided to go the rugby route.
Yeah, so again, with the opportunities I had, was very fortunate to be at schools with great sporting facilities, and great coaches and teachers, and at Wellington I was, and again, having parents with such great genes and athletic ability. My mum was a provincial swimmer in South Africa. My dad obviously being a golf pro. So yeah, I really thrived at school in sport. And it just happened to be rugby that I was scouted for leaving school and end up joining London Harlequins Academy, and I was playing in the academy in the second team a bit. So that was in my late teens, early 20s. And I was a scrum half back then, and I kept getting these back spasms, I guess from maybe not conditioning myself properly or from the constant bending up and down. And I was playing a game of golf with my dad one day, and he could tell I wasn't really enjoying my rugby because I had the frustration of the injuries, and I had this really great round of golf. I played golf all my life because of my dad. Had this really great game of golf, and he was just like, my dad, probably would always favour the golf. It's what he loves to do, and it's not as dangerous as the rugby. So biasly, he was, of the mentality of being like, well, why don't you come out to Portugal, where he was, working, and you can work at the golf club, stay at home, work on your golf, see, because he believed I had the ability to play golf.
Mm-hmm.
He always has. And so I did. I took some time out from rugby. At the time, I thought I was finishing the rugby. And I went out and worked in Portugal, and I did my qualification to be a PGA golf professional, which is because I didn't go to university, it's actually a foundation degree linked to Birmingham University. So it's 3 years, and you have a year of practical stuff at the Belfry. So I did that, and it was going into my 3rd year of that Tom signed for Glasgow Warriors, having just had a great stint with the England under-21 Six Nations team, where he was spotted by Sean O'Neill, the Glasgow coach, and they got him up to Glasgow Warriors. So he had just signed there. And I was watching a game of rugby, I was watching him playing with my dad. Again, I played the odd little amateur sevens tournament in that time I was playing golf, but not thinking about the career in rugby was past, and it was now the focus on golf, because I was going into my 3rd year of being a qualified golf professional. And we were watching this game. My dad just turned to me and said, wouldn't it be great if you and Tom played together? Because we played together at school. If you and Tom played together professionally. And I was kind of like, kind of shocked, a bit like, this is coming from my dad, who I thought was happy. I'm committed to the golf, the rugby's behind. And he was like, yeah. He's like, you could be in that team with Tom, And yeah, so I called up Sean O'Neill, who had basically said, look, I'm Tom's brother. I've been out of the game for a bit, but I'd love to come up and, on a trial and see how things go. And Tom had started the season well, so I'm sure Sean was delighted to receive the call and be like, oh, another Evans boy, let's see what he's got. Went up to Glasgow Warriors, trained one day as scrum half with Graham Beveridge, who at the time was the scrum half at Glasgow Warriors. Now, to this day, I actually don't know for sure, and I need to speak to Sean O'Neill about it, but I trained one day as a scrum half. Next day, Sean O'Neill was like, nah, mate, can't see you as a scrum half. I see you as a centre, which is a position I've never played before. And he said, I see you as a centre, we'll get you started out on the wing and slowly move you into the centre. And it was a decision that has basically created what then went on. The rest is kind of history, as you would say.
Wow.
Because I then went on to play a bit for Glasgow Hawks on the wing and centre, and get a feel for the position, and ultimately came on to represent. I got my first cap on the wing against Canada, but then started as outside centre, which is what was the partnership with Tom at Glasgow Warriors. I was outside centre, Tom was on the wing. So yeah, it was really just a crazy series of events. Yeah.
What's it like for you now, reflecting on the career that you has?
Honestly, it just reminds me when I speak about it now and think back to it. It just reiterates to me something that I know is fact, and that's that everything happens for a reason. You have a kind of destiny in life. You can choose your destiny to the point of view where you, like I said about energy and the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. If you really believe you can, and I'll speak about that later, because I'm a big believer in the law of attraction. But just that everything happens for a reason, and as crazy as it sounds for that to have happened, and the series of events that got me there, it was meant to be, if that makes sense. And I actually, in that first season of playing for Glasgow Warriors, I was still finishing off my like degree to be professional golfer. So I was a professional rugby player, and then becoming a, I remember going in the third year practical session, I went into the practical week at the Belfry, and I put on so much size from the 2 years before, now being a rugby player. And guys were like, when we were doing the sports science bit in the gym, guys were like, does that help your golf being that big? And I wasn't really playing as much golf because I was a full-time rugby player, but I was kind of like, yeah. But yeah, like, so when I look back at it, I just kind of smile, and it just makes me happy knowing that, you just gotta go with the flow, and I guess I'll just, in case we don't get a chance to talk about it later, because it's something I definitely want to mention. I read the book The Secret. So I called up Sean Lenine about I'd say end of October, November 2006, basically asking for a trial. I started training, before I went up, I started training with a lady called Margot Wells, who's the wife of Alan Wells, who won the 100 meters gold medal in Munich, Olympic. And she's brilliant. She's an incredible sprint coach, but just what she can do with the body, no one else can. So, but she's also great mentally and instilling inspiration, motivation. And she told me to read the book, The Secret, which is all about, viewers who haven't read it need to read it, because it's all about the law of attraction. And I read it in 2006. 2007, I signed for Glasgow Warriors until the end of the season. In that time, I'd read the book, and it talks about doing a vision board. And this vision board is something where you put out there what you want. It's your way of asking for what you want, and it's a board that you can look at every day, that you can believe you can achieve, and because it talks about ask, believe, receive. You can believe that you can achieve it and see yourself receiving it. It tells you to put, like, I had up there, Max Evans starts for Scotland, Evans brothers join forces for, you put up headlines. That's like so how you want to see it. It gives you like a blank check, that you can fill out if you maybe a job you want to get for a certain amount of money, or certain bits of money you want to come through the post. I put up there a figure of what I wanted a contract to be for me in the future. Things like that. I put all these things on the board. In the course of the next 4 years, from 2007, everything, and I'd say there's probably about 5 or 6 things, everything on that board came true, except one thing, which I was so close to, and that was playing for the Lions. Which my brother and I were selected for we got the letter for the 60-man squad, which was a buzz in itself. And I know it probably came down to between me and Keith Earls, who I think is such a great lad and went on to do so well for the Lions. And he, just before selection, Munster were playing in the Heineken Cup quarter-final, and he had an incredible game, scored an incredible try in the corner, and he went on to play for the Lions. And that's the one thing that I had on my board that I didn't quite get, but I was so close to. So, but what a kind of story, and again, the reason why I've got a new vision board that I've just actually done recently, going into what I feel is kind of the next chapter in my life, and hopefully all that comes true as well, so yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
I suspect the reason that we're sitting here today is probably linked to all of that as well, because in actual fact you posted a picture on your Instagram of 3 books, and I think one of them was The Alchemist, by Paulo Coelho, I think his name is.
Yeah.
And it was just when I saw that picture, I was like, I need to get in touch with him, because that's so of the sort of things, the interests that I have.
Yeah.
And I watched I purchased on, I think it was on iTunes, on my Apple TV, The Secret, the
Yeah,
film,
yeah,
with
I've
all
watched
like
that,
Bob
yeah.
Proctor and so
Well, it's easy. The book is easy to. It's not. You can't really call it a book like a normal text book because it's kind of like quotes and little stories of people's experiences and how the secrets work for them, isn't it? Which in itself is just great because you know it's coming. It's like you can't get that many people to make up make that up. Like it's actually real evidence of it working for so many people. And the film, the documentary or whatever is just the same. You're actually watching people in all different walks of life, not just entrepreneurs, like, people that have just had standard lives that have just said, hang on, like, no, I've read this book, I want this, this and this, and they put the secret or the law of attraction into practice, and there you go. It's it comes to them. So yeah, like yeah, there you go. That's why I'm here.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I'll come back a bit later on to the things that are on your new vision board, because I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah.
But just, I mean, looking at rugby now versus, when you were playing kind of internationally, how much has the sport evolved and changed in that time?
Yeah, I would say, it was when I got involved with it, it was already more professional than when guys that I was getting into it, the older guys when I was joining, when they had started, it was already more professional. I would say even now it's gone even to a newer level of being professional. I think in a way, yeah, I don't know whether it's taking, I don't know. I always say that some of my most enjoyable times of playing rugby were at school. I had a very successful rugby team at school. I was playing with my closest mates that I'm going to be lifetime friends with, and there wasn't that how do I say it? There wasn't that stress of like, the game wasn't recorded. You weren't then going in on a Monday morning and analysing the game, or like from a professional level, you miss a tackle in the game on the weekend, you're already dreading seeing it back on the Monday, and like just the level of, I guess professionalism. I don't know if that's taking a little bit of the just enjoyment of the game away, because there is that little element of stress, but then it's like with any sport, to take it to the next level, you've got to do what's necessary to get there. But yeah, I mean, in answer to your question, I guess without faffing, it's definitely got more professional. I would say defences now are so strong. It's gone are the days of being able to just throw I used to watch some of the old games of rugby and doing these massive, big, exaggerated, dummy passes, and the defender just like, almost like jumping out the way. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. The defences now, and it. I guess on the one hand, it means that scoring tries and great tries are that much more brilliant because of how much better defences are these days. But yeah, I don't know. I guess just it's more professional. But I love my time playing rugby. I was definitely more of a person that loved just playing the game and just had a real passion for the game, as opposed to putting too much time in for and I know a lot of coaches will laugh at me saying that I really try to avoid as much analysis as possible. But yeah, so yeah, it'd be interesting. I guess also from a point of view of social, never from a point of view of social media now, there's so much more insight into what's going on with players. I suppose for all sports as well, you can really get behind the scenes with, guys are showing content from in the changing room, opening up more about who they are as people, as opposed to being these kind of sports stars that you see on the field and almost like kind of you don't really know much about except their talent on the field. You don't really, and now you kind of know them more as people and humans, I guess, in a way. And and does that make it more special because instead of being more like godlike, these people that you don't really know but they're so talented on the field, actually they're just normal people and they've just worked hard and okay, they've become good at something but put the work in, and is that more inspiring because you're like, oh, he's just like a normal bloke who makes his breakfast and takes his dog for a walk and whatever in the morning that he's playing the game, and then he goes out and kills it on the field, you know, like I can do that, you know what I mean, let's do it type thing. So yeah, I don't know, it's cool.
One of the things I was interested in is, you know, like kind of injuries, I suppose. You know, like I know that certainly what I read was that you had one fairly serious knee injury, but I mean, like, how does your body feel now after years competing? Like, have you suffered badly with injuries?
So I've had 3 knee ops on my right and 2 on my left.
Okay.
I've got a chronic herniated disc in my neck. I've had elbow surgery, broken my nose twice.
Okay, it doesn't say that anywhere.
Lots of scars, stitches everywhere. Does it hurt when I wake up in the morning? Yep. You know, it's a bit cranky those first few steps, but once I get going, again, I'm so grateful that I'm one of that I was able to actually have a quite long, you know, I was a bit late getting into the professional game because I was not messing around, but I was playing golf and whatever. And but the fact that I went on to, you know, I finished because of injury, but I went on to kind of 32 years of age. I got to represent my country, and like incredibly grateful for that. Where I know there are guys like my brother who I guess might touch on, you know, was sadly career-ending injury, cut his career, and you know, some guys aren't as fortunate, but yeah, like body hurts a bit, but I wouldn't change it for anything, you know, like sometimes I'm you know, we'll probably talk about it, I'm about to do this Dancing on Ice show where I'm learning this new skill of skating, never skated before. It looks like most sports where people are doing it the right way, they make it look easy, but it is blooming hard, and on the body especially, like on my knees. Sometimes I think, oh, I wish I hadn't been a rugby player going into this, because this would be a lot easier on the body, but then I wouldn't be in a position if I hadn't have, you know, kind of put my body on the line and worked so hard to kind of get where I've got. So yeah, it's sore, but I'm not trying not to complain.
I just think it's really interesting because, you know, you post pictures on Instagram and you're just like, this guy looks in unbelievably good condition. You know, he must just feel amazing. But to know actually that you do have like aches and pains is actually quite interesting. Yeah,
you know, I've got to be careful. There's always a conscious when I'm going to sleep. You know, I can't sleep on my front. Because if I sleep on my front with my head to my side, I'll wake up in the morning and I won't be able to move my neck. So it's always like, I'm not looking for sympathy at all. I guess I'm opening up to you.
Yes, brilliant.
Yeah, no, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but there are people a hell of a lot worse off. So like I said, I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned your brother. He had a horrible injury.
Yeah.
I think he broke his neck.
Yeah.
And like, what was that like? That period for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was tough because you know, we played together, brothers, something that we dreamt about as kids, and again, I just so grateful that we had that time to play together. You know, his injury, although really sad that it ended his rugby career, something that he loved doing and was so great at. You know, I've never seen anyone just fly down a wing, and I think he was top try scorer maybe in the Celtic League, definitely once, maybe even 2 seasons. Yeah, for him to have that career taken away was sad, but at the same time, when you look at what we try and do as a family, if you know, or what we have done, we now don't need to because we've done it so much, is to look, well, you know, how it could have been so much worse. He was so lucky to survive that, to walk away from that. You know, so many things in place that, like, you know, the medical team there, James Robson and Lisa, to give him that, you know, if he was moved on the field, the doctor said if he was moved on the field, game over. You know, that's how bad his neck was. And then the fact that the nearest hospital, the Cardiff University Hospital, was the best spinal unit in the country. Like, I mean, that's just spooky kind of coincidence. And that he was able to get the best care, 2 major surgeries, you know, a metal cage in his neck now for life later. And he's, I mean, you look at him now, and, you know, I joke with people, even now, people are so kind and so kind of caring and saying, you know, oh, how's Tom? Or, you know, like, even when I was carrying on, how's Tom getting on? I'm so sad. So sad to you know, that his injury got cut down. And I kind of joke and say, look, you know, like, yeah, it's sad, but you don't have to worry about him. He's doing great. He's in, you know, he's just looks great, and he's enjoying life. So, but yeah, it was the hardest thing about all of that was, apart from being gutted that he was no longer going to play and be by my side, was playing. The hardest thing was playing the game. I had to play Cardiff the weekend after, because it was a Six Nations game. It was Scotland against Wales, and then there's a break from the Six Nations, and Glasgow were playing Cardiff and that, I've never felt so sick going into that game. But actually, and I really didn't want to play, and again, Sean Lanine, always a wise old head, was like, no, trust me, you have to. And it was the best thing, because you know, I actually scored a try that game and was able to do a T sign for my brother, who was still lying in hospital in Cardiff. And it was the best thing, because it reminded me of why it wasn't just for me, you know. It was like, it's a platform for me to inspire people and to show resilience, I guess, and get stuck in. So yeah, but yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but it's yeah, like, literally, I already had a cry about it earlier when I was kind of thinking about it, so that's why I kept it together now. But you could have had me. You could have had me.
That's not the intention.
Yeah,
it's not the intention.
I know.
But you know, thank you for opening up about it.
No, definitely no. It's I guess, you know, I talk about being very, and I'll keep saying how fortunate I am, because I am, but being very fortunate not to have too many hardships, or to really know hardship. And if anything comes close to it, that was, you know, having my bro, you know, having a career-ending injury like that was hard. But like I said, it could have been so much worse. So I'm grateful it wasn't.
Yep. What does a day in the life look for you now?
Right now, currently.
Absolutely.
So I am knackered at the moment, because I've been training every day, ice skating, something that I've said is so much harder than it looks. And yeah, so I'll get up, make myself breakfast, usually get off to training.
What's your breakfast?
So I'll either go with porridge, or I like to make a smoked salmon, scrambled egg and avocado. That's one little meal. So porridge, that meal, or I have like some yogurt and granola. So that would be brekkie. And then, depending on, I'm kind of trying to balance doing other kind of PR type stuff that's coming about, like getting involved now more and more with different brands and shoots, and I think that's going to kind of keep ticking over the more and more this show picks up towards the start of it. But then, yeah, skate training. I've just finished my 3rd week of basic training with my coach, who's been brilliant, Joe. Next week, I start with my skating partner, Ali, and I'm excited for that. So yeah, training, whatever kind of other stuff goes on, like lunch, snack. I think one of your questions was, I don't know if you want to lead on to that with kind of diet or whatever. But yeah, I generally try and I'm pretty careful with what I eat. You know, I've learned a lot from being a professional rugby player and from a nutritional point of view. And yeah, I like to, you know, I make sure I drink a lot of water. I try and eat raw as much as I can. I avoid reduced sugar and processed food. So yeah, I'll have kind of I'll have a lunch or a healthy snack. And then dinner's normally pretty healthy as well. My vices or my are definitely chocolate and, you know, your pizzas, your pastas. I love a spaghetti bolognese, love a pizza. But if I could be in shape, if I could like have a good bod, be in shape, be healthy. Actually, I should say, it's not all about having a good bod. If I could be healthy and eat as much chocolate as I wanted, I would eat so much chocolate, it would be a joke.
Really?
I love, yeah. And honestly, for any kind of motivation or I guess inspired Edinburgh, any inspiration for anyone, you know, like I struggle, if I start eating chocolate, it's very hard to then, you know, sugar, it's addictive. Like it's a no-brainer. It's fact. Sugar is addictive. If I start eating chocolate, I need a bit of chocolate every day. If you can kick it, I would say for about 2 weeks, and it's a tough 2 weeks, then the cravings aren't as bad, and everything else starts to taste sweeter anyway, if that makes sense. But it's a tough 2 weeks, and yeah. So if I know I need to be like for example this show, I'm gonna want to be in good shape for it and whatever. I'll probably 2 weeks before I'll like get into mode of trying to really kick the little treats of chocolate every now and then. But
you don't seem to really get out of shape at all, you know. And what's kind of interesting, I wondered whether, you know, to what degree is it hard work versus genetics?
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's, and again, I've already mentioned how blessed I am that I do have good genes. You know, my mum's a health freak, but she's, yeah, you know, she's obviously got good genes. She was an athlete. My dad was very slim when he was younger. I've seen pictures of him, and he's, you know, a stick thing golfer. So yeah, there's yeah, I am grateful for the genes as well, and I definitely think, you know, I won't argue the fact that genes definitely help. And then yeah, but yeah, I don't know scientifically how much of it is genes, how much of it is. I've not seen the stats or the research to say if, you know, someone's overweight and you really commit them to a regimented diet and exercise, can you get anyone, you know? Yeah. I just don't know. But all I know is with myself, I know that if I cut down on especially reduce sugar and processed food, I can trim down, you know, quite quickly. Yeah. So and with not a huge amount of exercise as well. I mean, I have heard, I do kind of agree with a lot of losing weight is diet as opposed to just beasting yourself all the time. Yeah. Because actually, if you're beasting I find if I'm like training really hard, it makes me so much more, naturally makes me so much more hungry and so much more harder to just avoid those treats, you know, because it's, you fill yourself up a lot easier if you eat a bar of chocolate as you do eating like a, what would be like
A rice cake
some
or
nuts
something.
or something,
Yeah.
you know, some nut, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, rice cake. So yeah, I diet is a huge thing. But if I can give any tip, I guess, as well, just as a start point, like I don't drink any, and I think it's kind of an easy-ish one to start off with. I don't drink any sugary drinks, any fizzy drinks. I don't drink fruit juice because fruit juice is just as bad. Although you think it's healthy, it's just pure sugar. You've not got the fiber in there. So as a start, I would just avoid fizzy drinks, avoid fruit juices, and I guess from an alcohol point of view as well. You know, I like to have fun, and I don't drink beer. I don't drink wine. I mean, I wouldn't recommend what I drink, which is tequila.
Jeez.
Yeah, my drink is tequila, water, and lime.
Seriously?
I wouldn't recommend it. But it is, you know, tequila is. I mean, liquor is definitely a lot slimming than your wines and your beers. So I don't know, but I guess I'm trying to help. So there you go. Yeah.
We spoke about this off camera earlier, actually, and you know, you're at a point just now where you're going quite, you know, aggressively into the sort of public eye, as it were, and you know, the possibility of being critiqued quite a lot. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, you know, up until this point, again, like I'll repeat what I said to you earlier. Up until this point, being in the public eye has been, you know, I guess a breeze, has been great, has been enjoyable, has been inspiring to me as well as probably inspiring to other people. You know, I haven't, unless outside of the rugby community, I don't, you know, get recognised too much. And if I do, people think I'm Tom from Strictly and the stuff he's been on. So that's kind of an easy, no, I'm his brother, like, you don't want my picture. But yeah, so, and you know, and it's something that as a sportsman, you appreciate being recognised. You know, it's, people are always very friendly and very supportive and saying, oh, you know, used to love watching you play, and yeah, it's a buzz. And I've got all the time in the world for it. So, you know, now going into, it's a very unfamiliar territory with being in a different sort of public eye where it's, you know, a national show, a national, yeah, there's going to be, I guess, more of a, yeah, they tend to pry maybe more into your personal life, which is, again, like I said, not something I'm used to as much, even to a certain extent from being a international rugby player. You know, the tabloids are always, you know, they're always looking for stories, and you know, there have been stories that I've had to learn from or be used to. But yeah, I guess I will be under the microscope more, and it's something to be wary of, and yeah, and I'll deal with it how I've hopefully how I've dealt with it in the past. But I guess my big focus is if I can just focus on the skating, on trying to be a half decent skater, and also let my character kind of come through, then it can hopefully inspire, because that's what I'm about. I've been so lucky to have a career already that has been able to inspire people through rugby. Now I have the ability to be on a larger platform to, you know, just inspire people in a way that, like, I'm doing a new skill and having a laugh and enjoying life, and hopefully making people happy, I guess.
Absolutely.
Or maybe making people laugh.
Yeah.
Try not to fall over too much.
So you don't have any kind of major concerns or apprehensions about?
You know, like I was, again, it's something that is my personal life. I do want to keep, like, private. I think people deserve that. You know, you see, so you really feel sorry for some of these top celebrities, these A-listers, who just their whole personal life, every move they make is all over the place, and I don't think it's right. But then, you know, it's a way of living for some people, for businesses, and that's part of life, I guess. So yeah, you know, at this point, we'll see. You know, I've got my personal life, and I'm going to try and keep it private. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, roll with the punches.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you say you have evolved as a person throughout your life?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, I guess that's a difficult question when you put it like that. I've definitely evolved. I've, you know, been like most people. I've made mistakes. I've hopefully learnt from some of those mistakes, or in the process of still learning from some mistakes. I know what's. I like to think that I'm a good person, and that I will continue to be a good person. I know what I want out of life. Yeah, I don't know. Difficult difficult question when you put it like that. You know, how have you evolved?
I suspect, and I don't really want to put words in your mouth as such, but maybe evolved kind of spiritually,
right?
As you've, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you read The Secret back in 2006.
Yeah.
That's actually quite early.
Yeah.
To kind of get into that sort of thing. Has that always been something that's interested you?
I mean, I knew, I guess, from a young age, again, having my brother and him unconsciously doing so, but he definitely pushed me to be like a leader, and to be inspired, and to be inspiring, because, you know, I was the older brother. I had the opportunity to develop, you know, to try things or do things before he did. You know, it was me that made the first 15 at school before he did. Mm-hmm. It was me that left school or graduated, or I don't know, you know, like, so I guess I had to make sure I always was conscious of doing it right, because then it inspired him to do the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of continued through. So I knew I kind of wanted to inspire and to motivate, and I love making people happy. I love helping people. I guess The Secret just gave me, just made it more fact in a way, and gave me more of a structure in how to achieve it, I guess. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe I was kind of always doing, you know, I was always kind of thinking positively, and always maybe attracting that. But because like you said, I only read The Secret in 2006, but I'd already got myself a trial with Glasgow Warriors. But what came after reading The Secret, would all of that, you know, I talked about my vision board and all that I had on there, would all of that had come true had I not had the kind of process to get that, which The Secret taught me? Maybe not. Or maybe it would have, because I was always kind of a positive person, and thought, and did have, when you learn golf, you know, I got brought up playing golf with my dad. Golf is a massively mental game, you know, and there's a lot of visualization in golf, you know, see the shot, see the shape, be positive about how your round's going to go. Yeah. You know, and you can take a bit of that into life. And, you know, maybe I always had that a little bit, but just didn't realize how substantially it could really benefit your life. So, yeah, I guess there's always just been, I guess, nothing too drastic in how I've evolved. Always been on the same sort of path. So
it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you've talked a lot about, obviously, the desire to inspire. What do you feel is your kind of purpose in life?
So, my purpose in life, would be to enjoy this one life that I have on the planet as best that I can, and in the meantime, inspire and make as many people happy as possible, but also just do as much as I can to make the world a better place, and I also feel my purpose in life is to be a dad, to reproduce, to continue the cycle of life, and to then instill my purpose as the purpose of my children to carry on. I feel like that should be everyone's purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Great answer. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
What would you like your legacy to be?
And again, talking about legacy, I think that's very much related to the purpose of life. I want my legacy. I want to be remembered for achieving. Well, I want to be remembered for getting as close to what I think is the purpose of life as possible. I want to be remembered for, oh, Max, he always strived to make people happy. He always wanted to inspire people. He always tried to make the world a better place, or he did what he could. Obviously nobody's perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to want to have done things differently, but then, like I said, I'll hopefully learn from them. But yeah, I think legacy-wise, that's legacy. That's it's what you want to be remembered for, isn't it?
Absolutely,
yeah. I like to think that that I'm on that path already, and I'm definitely conscious of the fact of keeping that going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you most grateful for in life?
Oh, dude. We could be here all day, but I've probably said grateful so much in this interview already. People are like, all right, we get it. You're grateful. All right. You're lucky. No, I'm so grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for having good genes, having athletic ability, being raised to be, well mannered. All the kind of values that my parents instilled in me. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the health of my parents, healthy friends, family. It's just so much. The people I've met, the people that have inspired me.
Do you have a particular practice or ingratitude in terms of do you write down things that you're grateful for? Do you do it daily? Is it like a habit?
Yeah, either in the morning when I wake up or just before I go to bed. I like to just have a little sesh of gratitude where I just literally say,
it's not a euphemism, I hope.
I just literally start almost in a way like prayer styley, just start saying thank yous for just tons of things. That's again one of the things people that read The Secret talks a lot about gratitude.
Yeah.
Be grateful, and I just start listing off things that have happened in the day. I'm grateful for that. Things that I know are coming up in the future. Grateful, just starts thank you. So
it's a really powerful practice.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it puts you into that positive
Absolutely.
way of being.
Yeah, and it again, like I said, I've not experienced real struggle, but I know I'm so inspired. There's a lad I was recently at his book launch. A lad called Henry Fraser, who was a lad just like me, who dived into a wave on holiday with his mates, and ended up being paralysed from the shoulders down. And he is such a motivational, inspirational guy, because he's, you know, you could look at him and you'd be like, how unfortunate, how unlucky, and yet he's so grateful to still be alive, to be able to, I guess it's giving him a platform to inspire people to say, no matter how hard it is or whatever, you can always be grateful for, there's always be grateful for something. There's someone always less fortunate than you, or always struggling more. So yeah, it's a really powerful practice to be grateful.
Do you feel as though you need to have faced adversity in order to inspire people?
No, yeah, no, that's not, no, I don't, not at all. I think, I just think, yeah.
I don't mean that about your friend, because that's terrible what happened to him, but just from your perspective, do you think that, you know, your desire, you know, that you're wanting to inspire people is any less because you haven't faced any level of adversity?
No, I just am conscious of the fact that, like, I'm just conscious of the fact that it is easier to be grateful for so many things to be grateful for so many things like I am, because I have so many, I guess I'm so lucky to have so many things to be grateful for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas, you know, like if we relate it to Henry, I'm so grateful that I can walk, that I can run, that I have the ability to use my hands. It's not something that Henry can say he's grateful for, if that makes sense.
It makes
you
sense.
Know, like I could, like a, you know, that's kind of how I'm relating it to. So,
but again, I think that's a choice.
Yeah.
You choose to be grateful for these things.
True. Yeah.
A lot of people don't see.
Yeah.
That is
something to be
a blessing.
For.
That is an incredible thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
How do you define success?
Yeah, this is a really tough question. I think the only way to answer it would be from a personal point of view. It's really tough, and I think it comes. I guess I'd maybe try and relate it to a little bit of what I want my legacy to be, in terms of, I think I'll only really, it's weird because I know when someone talks about being, you know, I've been to America where, you know, I love, there's a kind of culture in America that's a little bit different to the UK, in terms of people praise other people's success a bit more over there than they do here.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, I've spent a lot of time with the Americans, and Brits, and again, I'm not speaking for everyone, but Brits are, what's the best way of putting this?
More reserved?
Yeah, I guess more reserved in a way. You know, I'll go to America, I've been to America, and I'll say, you know, talk about careers or whatever, and so many Americans are like, oh, great man, like, congratulations, like, for your success, and, you know, like kind of like positive and stuff. And so I know, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know I've already been in a professional rugby career, I've represented my country. That's something that is seen as being, you know, I've been successful in rugby. And you know, I could carry on the rest of my life, and I'll always have been a successful rugby player, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But will I, when I get to the end of my life and I look back, if I haven't done anything other than be a successful rugby player, would I consider myself successful? Probably not, because I've been blessed, and I'm lucky enough to have an opportunity to be in my eyes, more successful than just being a successful rugby player. And I think that comes down to the legacy I'd like to leave. You know, I want to be remembered for enjoying my life, making people happy, inspiring people, having kids, making sure they have a great life and continue the same values and whatever. And I think when I get to the end of my life and I've achieved all those things and how I want to be remembered, I'll feel I've been successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a tough one because so much now, you know, so much, especially on social media, you can see how success is measured with how much money you have, how much material things you have, when actually all that means jack shit when you when you're lying on your deathbed and you've got materialistic things but no one's around to remember. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of philosophies about it, but yeah, I'm definitely of that opinion. It's very much related to the legacy you want to leave behind, and if you can achieve that type of legacy you want to leave behind, you've had a successful life, I guess.
So what are the things that are on your current vision board?
So on my current vision board, I've got Max Evans wins Dancing on Ice with a nice little image of Torval and Dean, and I used Ray Quinn, who won it whatever year. I took his, because that's the whole idea of the vision board as well, and the secret. You have to put it out there like it's actually happened. You have to see yourself actually doing it. So I've got a little cutout of Torval and Dean either side of what was Ray Quinn and his partner. I've cut their heads off and put my head and Ali's head right there, like we're the winners. So I've got that, and actually it's mainly about that, to be honest, because I'm not really thinking too far beyond that. I've got a few different like signs about some good performances. You know, I'd love to have a couple like just really good performances on the show. I've also got a dream of I'd love to work with my brother. Again, we're not too sure. Definitely in the fitness world, but just trying to finalise now in what capacity. So it's not quite. I've kind of got on there. Evans Brothers create the Europe's ultimate fitness experience, for example. You know, that's something that where my mum and dad live in Portugal is. Well, I don't really want to give it away.
That's fine.
I don't want someone stealing the idea. But yeah, like it's
a retreat kind of idea, I suppose.
Yeah. So I guess no one will be able to do it as well as we do it.
Well, that's it. There's no other Evans Brothers, right?
Yeah. So yeah, but some things to try and attract.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that.
And then there's just words on there, you know, just values like gratitude, respect, you know, kindness, things like that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Keep it ticking over.
Yeah. See, I wasn't sure whether with your current path you thought you might go more into television work, something like that. What from presenting kind of thing, or
I mean, I don't know if you know, my cousin is Chris Evans. Yeah. And it was actually really great. That's how they announced me on the show, was on his radio. And I've never been on his. I've spoken to him on the phone on his show, but never actually been in the studio. So it was really great. But yeah, no, like I don't know. You know, we'll see.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's huge opportunity for my brother and I, and I'm excited for the future. So we'll see.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So on my 21st birthday, my dad said to me, "You're going to blink, and you're going to be 30." And he was so right, because literally, time just goes so quickly that you really, it's and that was, I'm 34 now, that was 4 years ago, turned 30. And yeah, it's something that I had in the back of my mind through my 20s, but I remember on my 30th birthday being like, wow, I'm 30, and it seems like not long ago that my dad told me that when I was 21. And so that's kind of, I consider that just the best advice, just carrying on forward into life, because I know, I was 30, I'm going to blink and I'm going to be 40 and I'm going to blink, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm just keeping that in the back of my mind to really take in just daily experiences. One of my favorite films, probably my top three favorite films, is a film called About Time. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't think I have seen it.
It's a Richard Curtis film. It's called About Time. It's a brilliant film. It's got Bill Nighy is the dad in it, and the son, I actually feel terrible for not knowing his name, but I'm going to find it out. Almost tempted to look it up so we get his name out there. But a brilliant film, About Time. And the concept is it's the dad, the men in the family of this family have the ability to not control time, but they can go back in time to any event that they want. They go into a cupboard and they can go back into time and change something or whatever.
Wow. Okay.
And there's what I feel is a really important part in the film where what he does is he gets to a point in his life where he's really happy. He's married. He's fallen in love, and he's with a wife he's just madly in love with. He's played by Rachel McAdams, and he's got, I think, 1 or 2 beautiful kids. So he's got into a point in his life where just, he's not crazy successful. Again, it's measuring successful, but sorry, he's not crazy wealthy or, got a highly important, impressive job or whatever, but he's just happy. So I guess he is very successful. He's just happy. And what he decides to do is every day he, regardless of what happens in the day, he goes back. So he'll live the day and then he'll go back and live the day again. And it's just a really important, I just think it's such a great kind of message in being like, just really take in every day, because we don't get a chance to, once this day's over, that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got tomorrow, which is great, but like we'll never get this day back. So really take in what's going on.
Absolutely, yeah, of course. and so, I mean, now looking back to your, say, 21-year-old self, I mean, what would you say to that person now?
And again, relating to the film, because it's so important, and it's kind of the message is, because I wouldn't go back, and there's nothing I would want to change from now until 21, because who knows what direction that change, I don't know if you've seen a film called, I'm a massive film buff, so
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen a film called The Butterfly Effect with, how...
That's like
yeah, and the message there, he goes back and he tries to change it, and then it leads to something else going wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing I would want to go back and change. All I would, and in the film About Time, what he does is by going back and living each day again, he's got that little less worry, because he's already done it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I would go back and just say, like, worry less, I guess. Just like, just try not to worry as much as, I mean, everyone worries, everyone has stresses about where they're going to get, and, and I guess you just trust everything's going to be all right. And I'd probably give him the Euro Million numbers tonight as well. So that he could go, so that I could go. So I'd go back, tell my 21-year-old self the Euro Million lottery numbers tonight, so that I'd win the lottery tonight, and then what I'd do is I'd buy all the elephants in the world so I could keep them safe, so that this nutter, I don't want to get political, but Trump allowing
I know.
trophy elephant, it's just,
It really
So
is.
I'd buy all the elephants, have this huge sanctuary somewhere. There you go, happy days.
I'll come on to my next question actually, because that may be one of your linked to your answer for that. But in terms of, you spoke a bit about films, like in terms of books, obviously The Secret being one, but what are your favourite kind of resources, or kind of, in I suppose a personal development sense? Like, do you listen to podcasts? Do you read kind of motivational books?
What, like my inspirations in life, I guess? Yeah. I mean, the book I'm reading at the moment is actually Henry Fraser, I mentioned earlier. I'm reading his book at the moment. Those books I talked to you about before, The Secret, The Alchemist. There's another one there called Super Life by Darren O'Lean, who's just, when I met this guy, he's an American dude. When I met him, he just like blew me away. He's a nutritionist, but it's almost an insult to call him a nutritionist. He's a superfood hunter, which is much more like fitting for him. And he just travels the world searching for superfoods, all in the hope of just bettering. Like, he is an inspiration. 100. Just wants to make people more aware of being healthy. And like, I thought I was healthy before I listened to a talk from him, and when I came away I was like, oh my god, I need to seriously get my act together. Like, as in, you know, from down to like the water I drink, and you know, it was kind of scary in a way, but great, because it just inspired me to just this, I can just go so much more. So that's a book and a guy that really inspires me. To be honest, again, it maybe sounds cheesy, but just like life in general, like I'm just inspired every day. You know, like I was walking. I was telling you earlier, I probably should have kept them on. It would have made more sense if I'd kept them on. But like, I don't know when this was come out, but at the time, this is Children in Need at the moment. So I had Pudsey ears on. I got them at the airport this morning. There was people receiving donations, and so I put them on, and I've had them on right up until this interview. And so I was walking from, you know, I had them on the plane, had them on the tram, and I was walking to Nando's, and I had these ears on, and I was just kind of, you know, I was like confident, happy. I was like, you know, it's for a good cause, whatever. And then at a little moment, I was starting to question it a bit. To, you know, you're Max Evans, you're in Edinburgh, you're going to get recognised. You know, I saw that rugby player wearing those Pudsey ears. Like, don't know what the hell he was up to. Should I take them off? And this guy walked around the corner, and he was walking his dog, and he had his own style. He was like his own style of dress with these kind of, you know, his own style of kind of beard that, I guess, socially you might. It's a dress that maybe was a little bit eccentric, you know, like, and yet I was just like, you know, he seemed very happy, very confident in his own skin, and I was just like, in my head I was just like, good on you, man, you know, like, it was kind of inspiring to just, he was just, that's how he wants to look, and that's, you know, and he feels happy like that, and he looked great because he was happy, you know. So I guess so many things in life inspire me, and so many people have inspired me along the way. I've already mentioned, you know, like my parents, my brother, even, you know, I had two cousins, Dirk and Kai, who I kind of followed through school. They were both at Lambrook, both at Wellington, both incredibly talented guys, and they inspire, you know, one of them's now, he's still I don't know how he's still going. I think he's 36. He's still playing professional rugby for Exeter Chiefs. And the other is working out in Singapore, really, you know, important job and stuff. So, like, so many friends, and yeah, I guess so many things inspire me. Yeah, it's just it's a buzz.
You're a very positive guy, Max.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, try to be.
So here's the secret weapon question. If you could change anything in the world, what would it be and why?
Oh. Yeah, this wasn't in the notes.
It's not.
I like it. I like it. If I could change anything in the world, what would it be? Geez, one thing. How long do people get to answer this?
Take your time, by all means. Well, what was the first thing that kind of popped up when you started thinking about it? Just riff on that if you want.
I guess just from an environment point of view, like, I've already mentioned about purpose of life is just enjoying this one life we have. We only get one chance at it on this one planet. And we're going to be all right. Our generation's going to be all right. But, there's so much, I've seen so much about, the damage that we're causing for future generations. And, like I said, I'm desperate to be a dad. I guess part of why my childhood was so great is because I was able to be outside all the time. I was able to be in the sun with, I guess, less sun cream than I guess you are now because of the damage. The pollution, like I've seen pollution in London. I don't know about Edinburgh, but just at an all-time high. So what first pops into your head is just like, that in order, you're not going to be able to enjoy it, no matter how positive a person you are or how inspiring a person you are or how happy you are as a person. It's not going to be very enjoyable if you're living in a place that's killing you or that's a dangerous place to live in, so I guess one thing to try and straight away just enforce into every people, one thing I would change is just make everyone, and that includes like greedy, business, all these, because it's all related, isn't it? People that all the corporations for cars and like meat and all this stuff. Like, so I just instill in everyone the mindset of protecting, like put everything else aside, and the sole focus is to protect the planet, I guess. Yeah. I guess that's the most important thing.
Very, very random, but a film that I just very recently watched was with Keanu Reeves, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Right, okay,
I don't know if you've seen that one.
I've seen bits of it, yeah. It's like an alien type.
The premise is basically that they've viewed humans from afar, watched them destroy the planet, and they've now come to eradicate humans because without us, the planet will be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Which is, I suppose, along the similar line.
Another Hollywood actor I watched. It's kind of the docu-film with Leonardo DiCaprio about just just literally the scary awareness of how much we're damaging the environment.
Yeah.
So that would probably be it. Nice one, sneaky one, getting it in there without any thought. Mind you, I probably wouldn't have been able to. Probably better to get me on the spot. I probably would have. I've been sat on the plane, just been like, how the hell do I answer that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
plus the Donald Trump and the elephants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Muppet. Yeah, but that would have. Yeah, hopefully I'll win the lottery tonight anyway, and I can do that.
Just manifest.
I get a Euro Million. I love it. I think because I started doing it, I started getting a Euro Millions ticket, and you're always using the same numbers, and then I just became, when you do it long enough, I know there are lots of people probably the same. You do it long enough, you then become so petrified that if you don't get a ticket and your numbers come up, you just be like, so now I get a Euro Millions ticket every, I hate to think how much I've spent on lottery tickets, but every Tuesday, Friday, just the Euro Millions, because I was still able to do it when I was in France. Every Tuesday and Friday I get my Euro Million ticket with same numbers. So just in the off chance that they come up eventually, so we'll see.
How would you change as a person if you won the lottery?
Oh, no, I wouldn't. Again, it would just be, sadly, I know money isn't the be-all and end-all, but it does help in terms of you can do so much good with money. A lot of bad can come from money as well, but with the right, I guess it's like guess it's like superhero, like good versus evil, like superheroes and superpowers and whatever. You know, a lot of money with the right person
it's about the
can
intention,
can go so far.
Yeah.
So I know if I won the Euro Millions, I got a lot of money, not much would change, because I already consider myself such a fortunate person. I'm already so grateful. Like there's not, I'm like one of the hardest people to get. I don't want like presents. I'm one of the hardest people to get gifts. There's not really anything I want, if that makes sense. But
in a material sense.
In the material sense. So I mean, I'm sat in an Adidas, in a free Adidas sweater. But I'd use it for good. Like I said, sort the elephants out. So yeah, just try and help people, I guess. That would just, because it already gives me satisfaction when I can do it now as best I can.
Be kind of amplified.
Yeah, there you go.
Love it. Max, it's been so much fun talking to you.
Yeah,
honestly, it's been incredibly effortless.
Yeah.
I think
what you've created here is brilliant. It's so comfortable. As I said to you before, you've got the cameras, but it just feels like I'm having a chat with you, and we've met for the first time. But you know, I know we'll at some point catch up and have a beer or a tequila.
Absolutely.
I'll introduce you to a tequila water. Although kids, stay away from alcohol. No, we'll have a lime and water or something.
Sounds great.
I
look forward to it.
Brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Max, thank you
Cheers,
so much.
Pleasure.
Cheers.
Pleasure. Cheers.